Hey everyone, welcome to East Meets West Martial Arts. Today we get to celebrate Hanshi Herfer's birthday. We're going to roast this bad boy. What's up, Hanshi?
How you doing,
Come on,
Soke?
talk to me, baby.
How you doing, Soke? I'm doing great.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
we're about to put you on the spot. Anything you want to say? Any kind of disclaimers before we take off?
Uh,
You
I don't.
got me last week. I'm getting you this week. Hey, for everybody out there that don't know, Hanshi's birthday was May 27th, just a few days ago. So we're going to celebrate it today, aren't we, Hanshi?
I, I don't think I have a choice after what I did to you.
You put me on the spot the last time, so I'm about to open up on you today. You ready?
I guess turnabout's fair play. Us,
It
yes,
is.
sir.
No, in all seriousness, we're not going to say anything that's going to be hopefully too embarrassing.
My bald head's embarrassing enough. I learned to live with it. So,
You know what? I didn't get any questions about ballhead. I asked some people. I was like, "Give me." I said, "Submit me some questions because we're going to celebrate Punchy Herfer's birthday today." So
oh
I've had
no.
I've had questions roll in, and I was going to think about, what could we do? I've been thinking about that since last week when we had our podcast. I'm like, what could we do? And so today it just hit me out of nowhere. It's like send a message out to some people that knows you and ask them to submit questions, what they would like to know about you.
Oh no.
Yeah. So some of them I may tell you who the question's from, some of them I may not. Let you guess. But I will say this, everybody that or all the questions came from people that knows you throughout your martial arts history,
oh,
throughout your martial arts background, should I say, not history.
okay.
So we got a few questions
Oh no.
for you today. Yeah. So you ready?
Us.
Let me grab my
Hey,
phone
I got an
here.
idea. Why don't I just go back and take the first on black belt test all over again?
No, you'll like this one a lot more. Trust me.
Okay.
Actually, it's not that bad. Some of them were pretty good questions. Some of them were very thought out questions.
Oh wow.
But you could tell of some of them that they already knew you, but there are different things that they wanted to know about you by the way they asked the questions. Like, you know, I guess some of them knew you from. Well, let's just say this. Um, at least three people have been people you've been stationed with in the military.
Oh no.
Everybody that asks a question, you've touched their lives one way or the other, whether it's been with your right foot or your left foot in the martial arts. And some questions were about motorcycles.
Oh
So
wow. Oh, okay.
yeah, so those three things. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Oh
People
wow.
knows you martial arts,
And motorcycle
motorcycles, and the military.
in the military. Wow.
Or maybe it just gave it away from when we done the podcast about what was it? Martial arts, motorcycles, and
Well, that's
military.
true. Right. Yeah. We
Yeah,
did that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good sign. It lets us know that people are watching the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. So here's your first one, and I'm gonna read this word for word. Says when you were stationed at Thule Air Base in Greenland,
Oh
what were
wow.
some of your most rewarding moments during that 12 months?
Whew. Wow. That's wow.
I knew you in Thule, but I wasn't
You
stationed
was a
with you.
station with it, truly. Yeah.
So
Uh,
this would be interesting for me.
yeah. Boy, boy. You really did catch me off guard. I knew you'd do something, so I was planning all these answers, but I didn't expect you to go out and get people. Uh, there were
No,
a
I'm
lot.
gonna get some backup. Whenever I come for you, I'm getting backup.
There were there were a lot of good moments. I guess I'll preface my remarks by saying that Thule was turned out to be one of the surprises of my military career. I went there thinking I'm just doing a remote. There's hardly anybody there. You know what I mean? In the military, it's like get my remote out of
Yeah.
the way and get where I want next. And you know how some people wait for the remote, and I was like, nah, let me just do it and get it done. Let's make it happen. But I had a really good martial arts student body there, and it was, as far as students are concerned, and I don't mean this to diminish. I've had a lot of good students, but they were all really, really neat, and it was diverse. I had an Inuit who was really good. His name was Ovi. I had
You had a what?
Inuit. Think of an Eskimo, but they're called Inuits in
Oh,
Greenland.
yeah.
Yeah, he was extremely good, and he had boxed some, and he was a really good student. I had, of course, the military GIs. I had so many of them, and then I had some Danes who were also taking from me, and so I had this diverse body of guys, and then who were there. Tom, who finally got his
Mhm.
black belt, was in that class. There was another one who followed me from Edwards
Now,
Air
who
Force.
got there first? You or Tom?
Tom was there when I got there.
How
Yeah,
long had he been there?
I don't remember, but I want to say a month or two.
Oh,
So he wasn't. Yeah, about
so you
maybe
guys relatively got there about the same
same
time.
time, right? He was the flight chief of the flight when I got there, and when I got there, they made me. I outranked him, so I became the flight chief, and he was a newly minted staff sergeant, I believe, right before he got there. I may be wrong on that, and so I became the flight chief, and then but was I mean Tom was there, and he's followed me his whole career. Really good man, as that's why we transferred him over to Kido Kimeru. There's another martial artist who's really good called Matt Hess, and we knew each other at Edwards a little bit. He came to work out a couple times at my dojo there. He was a Tunsudo black belt, and just he was actually a very good martial artist. He was also, though, just a really good person, and he was newly married, and so we kind of kept each other trying to be on the straight and narrow, if that makes any sense. But I
Mhm.
tell you, sparring him really made me hone my skills. Now, if he hears this, I hope he doesn't mind me saying it. I think usually I was on the better end of it usually,
Mhm.
but he was a challenge. He was a real challenge when we sparred. He was really good, and
What'd you say his name was?
Matt Hess,
Matt
uh,
Hess.
yeah, he was very very good and a very good cop and a very good guy, and boy, he had he was Tun Sudo. He was more well rounded as a Tun Sudo artist than I was
Mhm.
when I took Tun Sudo. I was largely a kicker, and my hands became much better when I trained under you. He was actually, for a Tun Sudo guy, he was really a good kicker, but good with his hands at that level. He was the first on at the time. Real impressive martial artist in person. There was another guy who was his name was Mark Anderson. He was a staff sergeant. I think he had been in maybe 12, 13, 14 years at that time. And he was a big strong, and I did more full contact. You can tell he did a lot of point tournaments. So when we sparred, if I sparred like a point tournament guy, he
Mhm.
always popped me. So when I sparred him, even though we never went full contact, I had to spar him like a full contact guy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because he was a big guy. He was maybe, at that time, I was 165. He was probably a good 220. And he was
Wow.
fast, but he was fast for 220. So it
Yeah.
made me have to problem solve having, and he was a black belt under Jim Harrison. If you know who Jim Harrison
Yeah,
was,
I know Jim
yeah,
Harrison.
was a big deal in the day. Yeah, he was a black belt
Yeah.
under him, and
What was his name again?
Mark Anderson,
Mark
and
Henry.
he was really really good. And so I had to problem solve him, and he was real gracious because he would tell people, and people would come to us to say, because they knew he started training with me when he'd come to my dojo, and they'd always say, well, who wins? He goes, oh, Ken does. That's not true. It was 50-50. Each fight could have been called a draw if there's judges. Because if I try to go like a point fighter, he was quick. I mean, and it was deceptive because he's big, if that makes any sense. You
Yeah.
usually expect, and I was known as being fast and quick. But if we did more, if I fought him more full contact, then I'd get the hit. So I and then just the students there. I mean, they were all just
How big a
spectacular.
class did you have there?
Well, it changed because, of course, it's military, it's remote. So
Right.
I've got some students that are only just there for 3 months and then they're out.
Yeah.
But I
It was
say,
a 12-month remote?
yeah, 12-month remote, yeah. And I ended up being there 13 months because my plane got there like 30 June, and the Deros they set it to be 30 July or 31 July.
Yeah.
So I didn't leave till like mid July, late July. But if you were to add it all up, I'm saying probably 20 people in and out, an average class of about 7 to 8,
Mm.
if that makes any sense. Yeah. So
And
uh,
you were the only game in town? In other words, you were the only martial
I
arts
was only one.
school
Yeah, I got
around?
there and I started teaching within a month. I thought I need something to keep me
Mhm.
good, if that makes any
Where'd you
sense.
teach at?
The base gym.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I'll talk about, Tuli, that was amazing, is the Danes. So I might have told you this story before. So I was just teaching. I just went there and reserved the racquetball courtroom. I
Mhm.
just reserve it and posted these are when I'm going to teach and put that at the gym. And I start. So one day I walk in. I've been doing it for like 2 or 3 months. I don't remember the exact timeline now. And I walk in and Bent, he was at that time the manager of the gym, but when I left, this guy named Max, and they both were great. But Bent had retired. And I walked in one day and he hands me a check. I go, what's this for? It's paid in my name. He goes, well, I told them you've been teaching karate. They got to pay. MWR's got to pay for that, you know. I go, well, I was doing it for free. Just keep me in shape.
Yeah.
Nah, you deserve to be paid, Ken. You just need to sign here for receipt of that check. You'll be getting a check every month now.
Was
So,
he already one of your students?
no, Bent was not. He was just the manager of the gym. He just
He just
liked
liked you.
he just liked me and liked what I was doing. He thought what I was doing
Oh,
was good.
awesome.
And so he went to his boss at MWR and said, this guy comes in, and he gave him the hours because, of course, I'm scheduling when I need that
Mhm.
room. And so all of a sudden I walked in, and I've been about 2, 3, and I got back paid. He said he started on this
Yeah.
date. So I got back paid for like $300. I mean, not 3 months. And then
Yeah.
after that was just a month, and I was getting paid, I may be wrong, I think $20 an hour. I think I was getting paid to teach.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was making, $80 a month, tax free, by the way.
Yeah.
$80 a month doing something I was doing for free anyways. It was like, okay, and so there's people taking care of people there, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. I mean, and when I left, Max, Benton had retired. There's a guy named Max who came and took it over, and he was super nice. I mean, the money was already coming in, but he was super nice and accommodating. And we did a karate demonstration there when I was there towards the end, and so it was just a great time. And there's some great martial artists like Mark
Mhm.
and Matt. I never said this to them, but in my mind I go, it's the M&Ms have shown up today. You know what I mean? Because it's Matt and
Yeah.
Mark. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that made me better. And so it was
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I can already see on these questions, I'm going to have some follow-up questions with them.
Oh no.
Just so the listeners will better understand, you were active duty military, and
Right.
it was a remote site, which means that you can't take your family and so forth and
Right.
so on. So, approximately how many military personnel, active duty military personnel, was stationed at Tula?
Yeah, Thule Greenland at the time, I believe we were 125 or 130 military, and about 800 total because they did have Inuits and Danish personnel working the base. So they were what they called GC contractors, general contractors for out of the Danish government,
Yeah.
and a lot of them been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they made really good
Yeah.
money. I mean, they worked there, and they're because they worked in a remote assignment. Say they lived in Denmark, has high taxes, but their taxes were cut like in half compared to if they lived in Denmark. So a lot of Danes went there, and they had like great vacation. It was like 3 months vacation a year, and they're making. I'm not kidding. I mean, some of these Danes were making, $100,000 easily, but they're keeping like
Yeah.
70,000 of it. Which if they lived
Oh,
in
wow.
if they lived in Denmark, they would lose about 60% of it.
Mm.
So they work overseas to get it. Yeah.
So, what was the base's primary mission
Yeah.
at Tula?
Yeah, the primary mission was the BMU site. It was an early missile warning system that, just think of like the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick, that looks over for missiles coming from the Soviet Union over, because everybody thinks of missiles like you got the globe and they're just transversing east to west. Well, no, the shortest distance for many of those missiles is actually to go over the North Pole to land into the
Yeah.
United States, not come all the way around. And so the BMU site there is set up to track that coming over. It's a priority A resource.
Gotcha.
And so we have a SART team that was there every night, as well as it had its own desk sergeant. And then you had the base, which had a desk sergeant and patrols. And being the
Mhm.
flight chief, you're in charge of both. The BMU site, I don't remember for sure. I want to say it's about a 30-minute drive from the base to get there. And it's a gorgeous drive because when you go there, you go over the bay and you see the ice, like in the movies or the National Geographic, the icebergs, and they've fallen into the bay and stuff like that. You could see that and hear them crack and pop, or see a seal laying on one as it's floating
Yeah.
in the bay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One more question about Thule that I'm sure a lot of people is going to be interested in. If they don't, when you answer this question, they're going to be interested in it, I'm sure. And I'm asking this because I know, but I was never stationed in Greenland. But I know this from being in the military and talking to people that was stationed in Greenland. Greenland makes it seem like it's green all the time, beautiful and stuff like that.
It's not.
What let me see how I can put this. How many months out of the year, let's just say that, how many months out of the year was there actually snow covered on the ground and there was no green in
Yeah.
Greenland?
Well, Greenland doesn't have very much green at all. And
Right.
so most of it is tundra. It's just
Hmm.
basically ice. And then it's the outskirts by the bay that in the summertime will warm up and be dirt or whatever. And
Right.
it's still in its own way very pretty what you see. But it will be from, and I'm taking an estimate. I don't know how it was then. Now, I was there when it was the worst storm season in recorded history, by the way. We had
Wow.
storms all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, but when I was there, I want to say probably by mid October, it's mostly ice around that
Yeah.
whole place. And it doesn't start thawing out until late May, early June.
Yeah.
It's
So
mostly, it's
very little what people in the United States would consider
right.
summertime
Summertime, right. In the
or
summer,
non-winter time.
non-winter time, right. In the summer,
Yeah.
it's funny what you used to. I remember
Yeah.
being in 55 below
Oh yeah.
outside. Yeah, I mean, it's cold. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to fill up the pickup truck is what I had. Me and
Hmm.
because I was NCOIC of after my first 2 or 3 months, I became NCOIC of quality control,
Hmm.
and Mark Anderson when he got there, he became NCOIC of training. So we were assigned a pickup truck to share
Hmm.
from the squadron, and I remember going out to fill that thing up sometimes at 55 below, and there's no daytime from I don't know mid-November to like
Yeah.
mid-March. There's no daytime, and you
Yeah.
go there and you're like, and it's the longest 3 minutes of filling up a gas tank. If that makes any
Hmm.
sense. I mean, it's
Yeah.
cold. It's yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, I've never been stationed in Greenland, but I have been stationed up north. I don't know too many people that hasn't been in
right,
some kind of northern base
right, yeah,
station there.
yeah,
Yeah, and I've been in bases where it was like 50 below and
yeah,
a little more and stuff.
yeah.
And we actually had car heaters where you pull up, you had to plug your
Yep,
vehicle up
yeah,
to an
yep.
outlet so the motor block wouldn't
Would
freeze and bust
freeze
on
and
you.
bust. Yeah, you had to go
Yeah.
plug your vehicle every
Yep.
time it was not running, not just every night. Every time you didn't run
Yep.
it, you put in that go plug.
Yep.
You didn't want to be if it's assigned to you. You didn't want to be responsible for not doing
Right.
that. That was not
Yeah.
going to be good.
Yeah.
And then when we got storms, I mean, sometimes you would be in your room for 2 to 3 days after the storm because they had to get the snow plows out to create a way for you to just get back to your office.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get back to your dorm room in time, you'd be stuck in your office for 2 or 3 days and
Yeah.
eating MREs. So when they said it was phase 3, which means you got 20 minutes to get back, you got back. Otherwise, you're stuck where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What was your most memorable experience while in the service? I don't know whether that's military wise, personal wise.
Yeah.
It's just a question. Your most memorable experience while you
Well,
were in the
if I
military.
go with martial art wise, it's the year we trained together. Year and a half, when we trained together there. As I tell people, and I've told you this many times before, and I mean, you know, uh, it's the best full year to, couple years I've ever had in the martial arts. You know that the time we were up there training together, it just it was, and how you are affected in your. This is my opinion about the military. It's not just the military duty you're getting that affects you. It's what you're doing
Mhm.
outside when you're off that
Right.
affects your
Yeah.
spiritual, mental, and physical health while you're working.
Right.
And that time period uh, affected my mental, spiritual, physical health, and outside of that, in the military world and the family world. I was also. I don't know if you remember. I think you came a couple times to my Sunday school. I was teaching at the base
Hmm.
chapel. I, was active in many things, but a lot of that's because of the training. Because I think what a lot of people do, they get there, and they either just live at the bar or they just live
Right.
in their own head in the dorm or in their house, and
Yeah.
or they just live at the NCO club getting drunk or the officers club getting drunk. And we saw that one time we were off and we stopped a fight, and just
Oh yeah.
drunk
Yeah.
officers and enlisted going at it, and people just get in their head and those thoughts linger and they just do dumb things. And
Hmm.
I didn't have that. I had a purpose going to the dojo to train. And anytime I was off, I was at the dojo training. Or not just that, we were repainting it, fixing
Oh
it,
yeah.
doing karate demonstrations on the base,
Hmm.
visiting other styles, kickboxing, whatever we were doing. We were so active. And that translated to success at work, if,
Oh yeah.
if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
that was by
Absolutely.
far my most best time in the personal level and probably even in the military level.
Yeah.
It was a really good time, and you get the memory also. People don't understand it. You will because you were there.
Oh yeah.
It is unbelievable seeing a volcano blow up over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
It's
it feels like it's literally right there in front of you.
yeah. What
Well, it
was it?
was
Yeah, it
literally
was.
right.
It was only what
uh,
13, 14 miles away from the base, and
Yeah.
it looked
But
like
13, 14 miles seemed like 13 or 14
feet.
feet whenever you
Right.
saw it exploding.
Floating, yeah. People didn't realize. I mean, people don't realize they see it on camera, probably in a documentary, National
Yeah.
Geographic, and they see the film. They don't realize when you're only 13, 14 miles and you see that, you think you're standing in front of a nuclear weapon that just went off.
Oh yeah.
And that thing, it went off a couple times in the storms. It didn't look quite as bad, but it kept I call it burping, but it kept
Hmm.
burping, which looked like a nuclear weapon going off.
Oh
And
yeah.
then within 5 minutes, the ash is falling on you, and you're stuck
Mm.
outside, and it's just falling on you.
Yeah.
And we had some of
We're
that
talking
ash
about huge boulders, huge rocks falling
falling
out of the sky.
out of the sky.
To me, it looked like the end of the world
It does,
coming.
right? I
That's
mean,
what it looked to me like.
it did. You're right. It looks like the end of the world.
Yeah.
But what a memory that is seared in my eyes and
Mhm.
my brain. I mean, from what my eyes were able to see, those things go off. And I look at pictures sometimes. I go, it still doesn't make up the difference of seeing one of those things, and you hear it, and you see it, and then you look at it, and you go like, okay, the wind's blowing it my way, and there's no way
Yeah.
to get shelter in time.
No.
It's
And
going to fall
most
on you.
times, I mean, let's face it, even if you were in a hardened shelter, a boulder the size of a Volkswagen coming out of the sky, I mean,
Yes.
what kind of roof is going to stop that?
Stop that.
It's not.
It's not, yeah. So that was memorable, and also I used to make the joke you could have the film crew cops come to the PI sometimes and have
Mhm.
footage,
Oh, yeah.
So whatever you did as a cop there to stop the bad guy, it was busy. So that was a great time as far as police work and martial arts, and I think the martial arts really infused me to. It's really where I really learned to take my martial arts training and put it into my life, not just in the
Yeah.
dojo, as I
Yeah.
had, prior to that. And it was, I mean, it was the best couple years of my life training with you. I mean, we loved it. I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
speak for you, but we've talked about it many times. It's
Oh,
still
yeah.
in my whole life the best time I had training.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that
yeah,
100%.
and that transferred into the rest of the time. I want to say this though, give a shout out to it. He was a student of mine at the time, and we still talk, a couple times a year. His name is Kurt Brooks, and this was at Edwards Air Force Base. And I got to say this because this is the hardest I ever laughed in my life while I was in the military. And he was going for Tops and Blue, and how they have the talent shows at the base.
Yeah.
And he was one of my students, and Ernie Slatinsky Ernie Slatinsky was one of my top students. We went to support him, so we went to it. He did so good and put on such a good act that we were cheering. The whole place was cheering, but we were also on the ground. Our guts were knots just from laughing so hard. Not that he was bad, but we just were like so amazed. We didn't know he had that talent. We had
Yeah.
no idea. And that was probably the hardest. I had tears. My gut hurt the next day. It was so
What did he
rough.
do?
He
What was his
sung.
act?
He was sung, and he wore, if I remember correctly, he wore a tuxedo with a cummerbund, and he did it as if he was a lounge singer. And he had the mic going and the show and stuff and just going, and the place
Wow.
just went crazy. And Ernie and I, we just didn't know. We were like, okay, let's go support one of our own. That's how we looked at
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned from you and other martial artists. Hey, it doesn't have to be karate. You got somebody doing something like that, you go support
yeah.
them if you can. So we went to support him. We thought, okay, he's going to go there. Poor Kurt. We're kind of like, hope he does well. We don't want him to get blasted out of this too bad. Well, we had no idea he had that kind of talent. And we were just amazed. And then when he started swinging those hips and that mic and catching it and singing, we were just in tears, or guts are busting up. The place is going crazy and clapping. It was awesome. And so I want to throw that in as that I would never have had that memory if I wasn't in the military. If that,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
also he was one of my students. I would have never had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say things like that. I've had a similar discussion, and I'm not going to give any names, but at least with three of my karate students up here in Sparta, and tell them that you've got to have a good balance in your life. It can't just be martial arts and that's it. You
Right.
know, in order for you to be really, really good at martial arts, you got to have a good balance. You got to have another interest. It doesn't necessarily have to be another activity, like you don't necessarily have to be like playing baseball and doing martial arts. It could be just something as simple as reading
Right.
and liking martial arts, or like you and I do, riding motorcycles,
Right.
and martial arts. But you got to have some sort of balance there in your life,
Yeah. You
to
do.
be a really, really good martial artist.
Right.
You can't live, breathe, and eat that stuff 24/7 because
No.
you will burn out quick.
Yep.
I say that because I've been there.
Right. You will burn out and you'll tear your body down faster than
Yep,
when you're in your 60s. You'll burn out, and
absolutely.
no one's going to like you, by the way.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
All right, next question. What experience as a past karate student and current karate instructor made the largest impact in your life professionally and personally?
Boy, that's a tough
Wow,
one.
that's a loaded
That's a
question.
loaded question. Yeah. If I can cheat and say, uh, boy, that's such a loaded question. As a student, if I can cheat and put, you made me a really good fighter. And I think the biggest thing is you made me able to use my hands better and to problem solve. So I go back like when I was sparring to someone like a Mark Anderson who came from, I mean, Jim Harrison's a pretty big deal and came from such good
Mhm.
training. I was able to problem solve it because he whacked me before I whacked him. We'll put it that way. And I had to problem solve that, and you did that for me, and so that helped me both as a student and professionally. Because when I fought him, I think I'd already had like 12 kickboxing matches, and he never kickboxed. And he's like, whap, whap. I was like, whoa, what the heck did I just get hit by, and I used to look down at point fighters, and all of a sudden I'm getting popped by him. But I learned the problem solving skills, and so I was able to adapt and start problem solving that. The And so that as a student, and then also Hanshi Dan Heck. I don't think he would have ever looked at me if I hadn't had the training I'd had. And I want to give some credit to Jerry Williams and Les Dunwoody and Ishiru and Tunsido. But I got to give most of the credit to you, because not only did I have the technique, but I was tough. I was a lot tougher, training with you. And
Well,
I don't.
we didn't have any, how am I going to put this? We didn't have any choice in the matter
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
being tough, because
Yeah.
when you and I met, things just clicked
Clicked. Right. Yeah.
perfectly. And I mean, literally, if people knew just how much we literally beat the living hell out of each
Each other.
other,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
they'd think we're crazy.
Yeah.
And the people that saw it at the time did think we're
They
crazy.
think we're crazy, right? And we weren't going to give up our man card and just wimp
No,
out.
no,
No.
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 No, both of us too hard headed and stubborn. We weren't going to give in.
We're going to give in. But I really don't think Hanshi Dan Hecht would have even looked at me. He would. I mean, he would have met me because he was a reservist at the base, and people knew I was doing karate, and we would have hooked up one time. But the one time we would have hooked up, I would have thought, he said, so he's not worth my time. If that makes any sense. But
Mhm.
after we trained one time together and we sparred, he was like, "Oh, yeah, come on, I'm gonna take you under my wing. Yeah, yeah. We need to. You need to go into Goju too." And so I've been really blessed by both your and his relationship. I would never be in the Masters Hall of Fame or the Legend of the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. It wasn't for you two. I would have never met, my heroes like Bill Wallace. I would have never met someone like a Chuck Norris, or a lot of these people. It wasn't for you two in my life. And or Benny Urquidez. Cynthia Rothrock. All these people, I can go on and on and on. And then and because of you two, I also ventured out and was able to encounter other people because with you, the kickboxing is able to encounter finally and take a seminar from an Andy Hugh or you know what I mean. All these
Hmm.
things opened up. So I would say being students of you and that helped me both as a student and as a practitioner, but also professionally. And that's why I say I think sometimes I mean I've been so blessed, and with one of the highlights as far as someone can put on their resume is that because of you, I got to be Bill Wallace's demo partner. What was that in 2002, 2003? I mean,
20,
2002. I mean, 2022,
2020,
2020.
2022,
See,
I
I
think so
forget
now.
years already just because you hit me so hard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
it
was a
goes like
highlight, and that was due to you. Uh, I think I have to really kind of go. That was both me as a student learning the most, and also me professionally and as an instructor. Yeah.
that. Okay, this one's changing gear a little bit. What is your favorite movie and why?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Phew, finally. Whew, because the other ones, I know the other. See, I didn't expect you to go out and get questions. That's creative. You were much more creative than I was. I tell you, uh, that's an easy one. Thank God. Because the other ones I may go back and say, boy, I said that wrong or I said that stupid, and it won't matter. The whole world's going to hear it now. That was yeah, it is definitely The Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee. Is my favorite martial art movie, and that's more out of sentimental reasons. But every time I see that movie, every time, and I probably watch it 2 to 3 times a year, I am transported back to that day when Charles Durrell took me to the base theater at Fairchild Air Force Base to see it because
Hmm.
he thought it would inspire me. And so when I see that movie, I associate Charles Durrell, I associate, and all that time period. I associate my love for wanting to be in the martial arts, and it took me about 5 years until I can finally start studying, and
Yeah,
buying the magazines and just falling in love, like because me, I'm a Batman fan, but I knew Batman I couldn't be real, but maybe I can be Bruce Lee. And that was an inspiration. And a lot of people, maybe I'm a geek or a nerd, but that kept me out of drugs. It kept me out
yeah,
of drinking. The goal of saying I want to be like that guy, even though Bruce Lee did drugs, but you don't know that when you're 9. You're like, I got to do that. Uh, it, it. I want to be a martial artist, and so when I see that movie again, I'm not just seeing him punches and kicks, and I'm not just seeing his charisma. I'm seeing all those associations with it, and so I watch it 2 to 3 times a year. It's whoop, here it goes in, and I can sit there and watch it and enjoy it just like I did the very first time.
okay. The next one here is kind of funny.
Oh
Oh, and
no!
before we go
Oh
any
no!
further, I've got to make a clarification. Last week, you asked me something about my favorite movie, hands down. And some things when you're put on the spot, and I'm sure you're going to feel like this when this day is over with, you're going to look back on it and be like, why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't I say that?
Well, that was part of the
You
fun of
know?
doing it to you last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my favorite movie, hands down, martial arts or otherwise, is probably The Last Samurai.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I want to clarify that one.
Yeah.
And probably who would I put on Mount Rushmore? And I was struggling.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say, I think I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I said, didn't I say Bill Wallace, Joe Louis,
Chuck Norris and Bill and Bruce
Chuck
Lee.
Norris? Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to also throw Hanshi White
Oh,
on
okay.
there
Yeah.
because he done so much. Oh no, I was putting my
Oh,
instructors
you're
on
putting
there.
your
Remember, I
instructors on
said,
it. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
people that has helped me in my martial arts career.
Yeah.
So it would have to be my instructors: Ernie Swadkins, Chuck Taylor, and I'd have to put Hunchy
Right
White,
on there. Yeah.
Bill Daniels, David Ray, and Rick Sparks.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
people have done more for me in one way or the other that,
Yeah.
you just can't
Well, yeah, yeah,
repay.
and that's the problem when you put on the spot because I know I'm going to do the
Yeah.
same thing already with the first 2 questions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
oh no, I
Yeah.
forgot this one.
I hate that because it laid hard on your mind there for a while, and you're like, why did I not just, because honestly, I mean, Hunchy White has really, really done a whole lot for me,
Yeah,
before he passed away. And had it not been for him, I would never progressed anymore in my rank because when I got out of the military and moved to Charlotte, I was either all my instructors were dead or they were like thousands of miles away from me,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So he took me under his wing, and I owe that man a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so here goes this one. I've read this question 3 or 4 times, and I'm just going to read what it says. See if you make any sense out of it.
All right.
For Hanshi, eggs are to bacon as the chicken is to the pig. Based on this analogy, what is the ratio you have seen between those involved, the chicken and those committed the pig? The heck is
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar almost to what they call a Miller anthology test. I had to take one for a graduate school I was applying to. Luckily, I did okay on it. I don't know if that's the same type of thing, but it kind of reminds me of that test.
I took psychology in school,
Yeah,
and I read this question, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I don't even feel like reading that much into it. And I'm sure the person that sent this
yeah.
is probably laughing their butt off
They
right now.
they probably are.
Whenever they see the
Yeah.
podcast.
I'm going to take a chance at it and say, what like what the chicken is to the pig, that, and I did commitment. I have seen, I guess I'm going to put it this way. I'm trying to find a way to articulate it.
Better you than me.
Uh,
Because I'd be like, next.
If the pig is the committed one, I've seen a lot less pigs and more chickens. And,
Okay.
And I say that because I have known so many people, even after they get their black belt. And I'm not talking about that you always got to be training hardcore. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But who, after they got their black belt, or even just students who didn't get their black belt, who just give it up. They'll brag about it, they'll talk about it, but they don't train anymore. They don't.
Oh yeah.
They have no problem telling you they're a black belt, second degree, or they got their brown.
Right.
And then you say, oh, you still train? No, I haven't trained in 20 years. But
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've seen so many dabblers of people who, and kids are different. So I'm gonna leave kids out of this. But people buy, when I mean kid, I'm not talking 18 as under kid, because I think when you hit 16 and above, you may not legally be a man or a woman, but you're a man and a woman. You know what you want to do in life. You know
You're a man. You're enough of a man.
you're enough of a man, right, to know I can stick with something or not.
Right.
And I've seen so many people who come in gung ho and then they get to a certain place, and it's not life circumstances that throw them off. It's not that, and it's not just about getting a black belt. We just saw a guy that took 35 years or whatever to get it.
Oh yeah.
But they give up or they quit, and that's okay. I mean, people got life, but they still walk around like this badge of honor, like they've accomplished something. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I see a lot more chickens, a lot of people who, when they get injured, they just give up on it and they don't ever try to get back in shape. I've heard that many people. Well, if I hadn't had this injury, you know what? And I hope this doesn't happen to me. Lord willing, I won't. But you could cripple me. I may not be able to fight, punch, and kick anymore, but I'm still going to read knowledge and expand my mental capabilities in the martial arts and try to share that knowledge with somebody.
You can still teach. You can still pass it on.
You can still find a way to pass things on, right?
Yeah.
And as long as I've got my brain and I'm in the flesh where I can find a way to communicate to people, I'm going to still try to have that warrior ethos and that martial spirit. And I see so many people that, I've seen so many people who, and you in the military, I know you've seen it too, brother, who go overseas, they get their black belt in a year, and then they come back and they walk around for about a year, they kind of dabble in it a little bit, and then they quit.
Yes, okay.
And then all of a sudden they talk about it, you invite them to your dojo, they come, and they can't even get their, and I'm not kidding, not exactly, they can't even get their knee up anymore,
Yeah.
They let themselves go. But they have no problem telling everybody how well they did it. And I know some other dabblers, and I just wish they admit they're dabblers. I don't want to say any names, but I know a couple people who still text me. They're really great people, but they talk about they want to get a black belt here. They want to do this. They want to study that. And to me, it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. Hey, if you just like martial art movies and magazines, that's fine. Just admit that. But when someone says, well, I'd study, but I need to study this art, I'm gonna if when I was there, I was either gonna study a martial art in my young days or I was gonna practice on my own. But I wasn't just gonna say, well, I'll wait till Shitoru stylist comes around. Otherwise, I'm not studying
Right.
anything else. And I've meeting a lot of people like that, and a lot of them in the military. It's like you got 5 schools around you, but you pick the one that isn't there, so you're not going to study at all.
Exactly.
Even though a couple
Yep.
of styles are close enough, you could be in them. So
Yep.
a lot more chickens, a lot more
Exactly.
dabblers, a lot more
Yeah.
drive-bys. I guess the way to look, they just kind of drive by it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say this: I do believe in the concept that once you're a black belt, you're always a black belt.
Mhm.
You earned it. You got it.
You got it right.
Whether you practice or not.
I'm going to give you the respect.
In a way, you should still be considered a black belt. However, you're not an active black belt.
Right.
You're a retired black belt.
You're a retired black belt. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And when you come to my dojo, you can wear the black belt, and I'm going to put you up front with the rest of us.
mhm.
But you're going to have to train like the rest of us, too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep. What one does, everybody's got to do.
That's right.
Okay, so there was a follow up to this chicken egg
Oh, no.
pig crap. It says, when in your karate journey did you realize you were fully committed to being bacon? I don't know. I'm just saying. I know who wrote this,
Well, they're very
and I'm
correct.
gonna follow up to them. And throw
Well,
up the big
well, hopefully I'm answering this
special
correctly.
forces.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hopefully I answer this correctly. Whew. Because there's a couple moments, but I'm gonna have to say when we started training together, I had not given it up. Obviously, you saw me that day when he says, "Hey, I teach on the base. You need to come join." So I was still working out on my own.
Yeah.
But I was, and I won't say I was a dabbler. I mean, I was still working out on my own and practicing, but I wasn't shooting for my potential, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to put it all on the line. And with you, I had to put it on the line. I'm not, people, I hope people don't understand. I'm just not saying this because you're on here. I mean, we both said I had to put it on the line in that dojo, or don't come. It was one of those. You didn't say that to me. You just knew it going in there. If you want to do it halfway, there's a lot of places on that base or in that Angeli City you could go do it halfway. But in that dojo, you had to put it on the line every class. And I got to take a quick break, and because my battery's about ready to go dead in the computer, I got to plug this in. Hold on. The battery's going to go dead. I hope I don't lose us. I'm glad it warned me.
Haven't lost us yet.
All right. I'm glad it gave me a warning because it's like, whoa, how do you even check it?